All right. Welcome back to another episode of That's Why We're Here, a podcast hosted by yours truly. My name is Marissa Palmieri. First and foremost, I just want to reintroduce the purpose and intention of this podcast. It is my personal journey memoir in a way, but it's also growing with me. Like each episode gets better in quality as I start to piece together all these pieces of the puzzle of my own journey. It started for me as this opportunity to hold space for myself. I treated this microphone as my therapist and pretty much I just did a bunch of recordings before I launched any episodes that were just me talking my things out just because I needed to get them out and I needed to verbalize some stuff. And yeah, now it's kind of evolved already. I've only done 2 episodes. This is number 3, but I can see it evolving from like a zoomed out perspective of, okay, this started as like me holding space for myself. And now I'm like, I don't know. I can tell with the last episode, I definitely like shifted it into like a more like, here is my advice to whoever's watching. And it's a reflection of where I'm at and the lessons that I'm learning right now. And I'm like just presenting ideas that I find are very, very important right now. And that last episode came through very strongly of like, okay, I think people actually need to hear this stuff. But it was also stuff that I've just recently worked through. So it's like, I'm not talking about stuff I don't know about, you know? So I just want to say thank you for being here with me on this journey. It is so powerful. It is filled with so much magic, and I'm very excited to be here with you guys. Whoever you are watching this, I love you. Sending so much love to you right now. Also, I would like to open it up to any viewer to ask questions or ask me to elaborate on certain things that maybe I didn't explain fully, because I know like my stream of consciousness moves so fast and like I have these things written down, but like I talk outside of these points. These points that I write down for these episodes are just like tracks, like train tracks to keep me on track, but I kind of just go everywhere. So it's fun. I really enjoy it. But yeah, since I am sharing this to an audience, I feel that, yes, this is my way of expressing myself and exploring these concepts about self and about awareness and about presence and my own magic, but I'm also wanting to empower my audience to kind of journey on the same subjects, to kind of look within and, you know, explore these things as well, because I think they're super important. And if you know me and you tune in at all, there's some value you're finding here probably in some way or another. So that's what I want to continue, this transference of ideas. And I'm not here to like tell you anything to do or any way to live your life. I'm just trying to express these things that I feel about myself and the world. And when I say you, I'm really talking about me. I even write that way in my journal. So it's like, I should probably make that clear to any audience member watching this, is like when I say you and we and us, I'm like, yeah, I mean us, like the collective. I'm not talking to anybody directly. We're all in it together, and that's why we're here. So without further ado, this episode is juicy. I'm about to release a lot. I'm about to release some stories you may not know about me, and that is going to take some vulnerability on my end, and I am ready. So without further ado, this episode is blockage, baggage, and letting go. All right, let's jump in. Let's give it a whirl. Hey. Okay. Oh, wait, first, before that, I want to also invite guests onto the show. And like, if you are watching this and you find this to be like something that you keep watching and you keep tuning into, reach out to me and, you know, bring up a topic or something that you feel is appearing in your reality right now that you want to explore further and deeper. And if you like my perspective on things, like let's have a conversation about it, because I'm open to exploring other people. As long as you can like bounce ideas off of me, I'm all about it. So come on, let's do this. So holding space for myself as well as this audience, because I love you and I love me and I love you, and this is a really exciting journey because the synchronicities are all surrounding this, and that's something I haven't mentioned yet, but the synchronicities in me sharing these messages when I do is super duper synchronistic. Like I'm just happy to be doing this. Like, I am so happy to be a channel on here just to keep everybody on the up and up, you know, on the ascension wave. Okay, let's go. So, I don't know if you can tell, but I have a lot more energy today. I feel like I'm getting more comfortable in this setting and like talking to people and seeing like, okay, what's the engagement on this show? Like, okay, we're just starting out, so there's no expectations. Let's keep this stuff circulating. And if you find that you want to send any of these episodes to someone else, please do. If you think they need this message, by all means, it's public. So, okay, so here we go. I want to note that there is a full moon in Libra this Sunday at 2:48 Eastern Time. And it is a big, big, big energy of opening up and letting go. So let's do it, shall we? We're talking about baggage, blockage, and letting go. So I feel like this is perfect timing for this episode to come out. So if you're watching this and you're hearing this message, know that it is perfectly timed. You're welcome. Someone's got to do it, right? This full moon in Libra is, like I said on the first episode, all about relationships and balance, harmony, beauty, seeing both sides, all of that. This is going to be a full moon about relationship with yourself, as well as how you interact with others going forward from this point on. So we're letting go of old ways that we've interacted and been with people, and now because we're redefining ourselves and who we are in the world, deconditioning and stuff, we are able to let go of that stuff, shed that skin in a sense, and open up into the new opportunities that are just at our fingertips, right outside our door. So this full moon is going to illuminate how you treat yourself, and there's going to be a decision. The moment of apex of this decision is happening at 2:48 Eastern Time. So hope you guys are tuning in before that or after. If you feel that moment, let me know, because I'm always interested in people's experiences of lunar cycles. So at this decision point, at this moment of apex of this decision at 2:48 p.m. Eastern Time, this is where we realize that we're changing. There's a lot of healing going on with this full moon as well, because we're seeing that we're changing, because we're seeing what we don't want to be anymore, and we're letting go of whatever doesn't align with us or whatever doesn't serve us, and we're healing ourselves in that sense of living the way that we don't want to, like these negative self-beliefs that we've been talking about, shedding this conditioning, shedding the programming. And so in that process, we'll discover a lot of our wounds, or we'll rediscover a lot of our wounds. And so I just want to say, just welcome those, embrace those moments where you face those wounds, and just like love yourself. But I just want to let you know that Chiron is also healing. Chiron is like the wounded healer. And with the Sun and Venus and Chiron all working together in this full moon, we are making a commitment to change and opening up and embracing healing. And this healing is kind of in regards to stuff we've been through since 2018, kind of. It's kind of going back to that stuff. We're just shedding a lot of that, which we do not do or want to be a part of anymore. So that's really important, is to make that commitment to yourself, realize you're changing. And, this will happen in subtle ways. Like, it might not come like a freight train, but like, if you feel like how you intend to heal is clear, you're working with this energy, and know that you're on the exact right path. So, the sun is fully illuminating the moon. And so the moon is fully illuminating any hidden parts of our lives that need our attention. So right now it's about how we face our fears and how we keep our fire going for eternity. This is a really, really, really important full moon, because this is literally how we step from our old versions of ourselves into our new, beautiful, like graceful, like flourishing, vibrant selves. So I'm very excited. I'm feeling this energy so strongly. Yeah, I wanted to get this recorded before this full moon, because I want the information to come out, when it needs to. Okay, so This full moon is so important because it marks a real turning point in our lives. In the sense that we are becoming who we want to be. We see this change going on within us because we're facing our fears of our past and we are opening up, not being afraid to share our truth and be vulnerable. And through that process, we are letting go because of awareness of these old ways. We are realizing that through awareness, we realize, I don't want to be this way anymore. I think there's a way out of this. I'm going to seek the way out of this. And it's kind of like the start of a journey, of a new journey of yourself. And there could be a little bit of uncertainty that comes after this, but that's okay. It is a beautiful uncertainty because it marks all of the potential that is in front of you. So try and embrace uncertainty and trust that your process is working exactly how it needs to for you and your evolution individually. So that's important to know going into this episode because we're talking about letting go of our blockages and our baggage. Come on, guys. Let's get it. Okay. I need to settle down. All right. So, how do we want to start this? So, there is something that we do as humans who are awakening or not. As humans in general, we often can block ourselves from our own growth. We can stunt our own growth. I know for sure that my growth was stunted in my own childhood, but we can also stunt our own growths by not accepting or facing or embracing ourselves and our past and our selves, our truth. One way that we block ourselves and stunt our growth is by letting fear control our lives. So the more you fear something, the more you're giving it power to control you, you know? So the more that you fear vulnerability, the more you're going to be closed off. So fear, in other words, fear is our blockage. Fear is what blocks us from achieving our dreams and striving for more. And fear can be a blockage, which can also be seen as baggage that we carry around, like this weight that we carry around that we don't need to carry around, but we do sometimes. Fear can also be seen as distrust in oneself. So the more you trust in yourself, the less you fear. That's what I'm learning right now. And like the more you stand in your own truth and you know that like a tree, like like you're rooted, like you're not going to be shaken or swayed too much to one side. You're just going to like you're there. And you know who you are, you know where you are. You're expressing yourself however you must. And you know why you're there. You're there to be a tree, right? So anyways, trust is what I'm talking about. Trust in oneself lets you stand tall in such a way. Another thing I want to say is that when fear is the only certainty in your life, you have to adjust. And you have to think, what will replace the fear? That's often what stops us from even addressing it, is because we don't know. Uncertainty itself can scare us. You know, the fear of the unknown, the fear of what if? What if? What if I fail? What if I fail? What if this person ends up doing something against me? Like, you gotta stop thinking that stuff, because anything you fear, you're gonna give that thought control, and that outcome is more likely. So what you fear will ultimately enter your reality, because the universe works in a way of tests. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the universe is always sending us tests. I think this goes into the next episode on manifestation. It's about moving into abundance and gratitude, but releasing fear opens up new pathways, not only in our direct reality, but in our brain. It opens up neural pathways. The more we reprogram into the positive structures, We can also see blockages in our chakras, if you're into that, if you've explored that at all. Our chakras can be blocked, and so like the energy doesn't flow all the way as it should. If one of your energy centers is not spinning as it should, that can also note a blockage in you somewhere. So like I remember in the first episode I had a blockage in my throat and I was like, I'm trying to say something. Like my soul wants to say something, but like I don't know how. And so there was a block in my throat, you know? So sometimes you can feel it, sometimes you can just I don't know. I feel into a lot. I'm a very feeling oriented person. I really find it useful to go into examples on this because all these concepts are kind of abstract in a sense, and I'm all about the abstract. But I understand that it helps to have concrete examples of this stuff and how it works. So let's go deep. I want to provide one example. I have two written down, but one's a little bit more sensitive than the other. So we'll see where I'm at in terms of how I'm feeling about sharing all that. But I'll go into this one for now because I'm not hiding it. This physical block is something that I'm actually releasing through this podcast and through like expressing my voice in any sense. Like I've been doing a little bit of vocal recordings, like singing and stuff like that too. And that is my way of kind of busting through this blockage. So what's a blockage? A blockage is fear, and fear is baggage that you carry around with you. And baggage is just, you don't need it. You just don't need it. Like, if you want to walk around this world light, keep listening. It's funny. One time I had a dream that I had a backpack and I asked my friend to hold it for me while I did something else. And he was like, what? And I was like, can you just hold it? Can you just hold my backpack? Like, it's full of stuff, but can you just hold it for a while? And so like he did while I like went off and fucked around and talked to somebody else in my dream. And then I came back and I was like, thanks. You know, I like got my backpack back. I realized that was my subconscious, because that was also at a time when I was like just bombarding this person with my personal shit. And I gotta love myself for it because I didn't know how to express myself at the time. But I, at that time, was projecting a lot, and I was really looking to other people to help me through my own baggage and my own blocks and pretty much figure out my life for me. And I quickly learned that people were not going to do that for me. So I, have taken it upon myself, as we all should, to go through this journey on our own, this journey through our personal stuff. So it was just really funny. I thought I was like perfect symbolism for unloading your baggage onto someone else and having them deal with it until you're ready to deal with it again. I thought that was a funny dream. But other than that, I want to share an example, a concrete example or two, of how like I've worked through blocks in my own life. So the first one started at the very beginning of my life when I was born. On the 5th of October of 93, I actually died 3 times right after birth, and for different reasons. It was pretty intense from the start. My life was pretty intense from the very get-go. So what had happened was when I was born, I was not getting air through my nose at all. All right, so here's the spiel. let's just get it all out. So what had happened was when I was born, I was born with this thing that eventually we figured it out what it was, but it is called choanal atresia, which is a blockage of the nasal airways, the nasal cavity. So I learned through all of this experience that when you're born, and most people don't know this unless you're like a neonatologist, pretty much when you're born, the doctor pulls some mucus out of your nose and that opens up your airway, and then you start crying. And that's usually how it goes. You know, you take your first breath and you're like, ah, you know? But so me, I didn't do all that. My airways, my nasal passage, was completely blocked. Like it was, the doctors could not clear it out. Like it was a lot to go through as a kid. That's like, I just kind of, it is what it is. I'm just like, ugh, whatever. So not only was I not able to breathe properly from the start, um, my heart also had a hole in it. So I stopped breathing twice and my heart stopped at one point and I turned blue. So like I died 3 times, literally. 1, 2, 3, right at the start. First day of my life. Or first maybe couple days of my life. I died a couple times. And something in me was like, nah, bitch, you stay in here. No, bitch, you got some work to do here. So I'm like, okay, I guess we're going in. Guess we're going back into this life. I have to make light of it because it really did fuck me up. Oh, okay. So like this physical blockage that I had, which I don't know if you can hear, but like I still deal with it. Over the course of my life until I was 17 years old, I had 11 surgeries on my nose slash face slash skull. So I've been through a lot of physical trauma in that sense. And I've realized my strength early on in my childhood and my endurance and my resilience. Just as a human, I figured that one out. So if you're like, how are you so strong? Or how are you able to like fucking do all the shit you do with all these circumstances of your life? How are you able to push past all these fucking crazy circumstances of your life? I'm like, well, you just do. If you want to live and if you believe in yourself, you push through it and nothing can stop you. So since birth, since I was very, very young, I always had this physical block, which made me feel like something was wrong with me because my body wasn't performing as well as it could. And I knew that my whole life. And I always felt really different for that reason. And I was never, because I know how this affects the way I sound, like the way my voice sounds, I was never confident in the way I sounded, like the way that my voice actually sounds coming out of my mouth. Like I didn't like the way I sounded in my own head. Like I just wasn't enjoying my own company for a long period of my life. And I had a lot of self-hatred for that reason, even though I had no control over it, really. I had zero control over that. And it brought a lot of pain to my internal world in terms of like self-worth and identity and like self-esteem too. Whew. It really, really did affect my self-esteem. By having all these surgeries, there was, always this mentality of, oh, there's something wrong with me. There's something I need to fix about myself. And that really transposed itself into my emotional body and my emotional experience of life, because the more that I thought that something was wrong with me, the less I felt comfortable in my own body, in my own self, in my own worth, in my own truth. Like it affected every part of my life, really. It affected how I talked to people, how I filtered myself. And here I am now on this podcast, spreading my voice around and putting out vocal recordings of me singing, like growing confidence in my voice finally at the age of 27. Like it took me this long to really find confidence in my voice. So if you're listening to this, younger me really, really appreciates you. Oh, gosh. Because I felt like if I didn't like the way I sounded, nobody else would like the way I sounded. And that blocked me from wanting to speak my mind as a kid. It's funny because all I wanted to do was be heard. I talked about this inner child last episode where like all we want to do is feel seen and loved and heard. And that's all I wanted. I'm a normal human. I have a weird way of sounding, I guess. Like in my own mind, I have a weird way of sounding. So I took it really hard. I took this block really, really hard my whole life. And like, it's so crazy because like my mom didn't even know that it affected my emotions the way that it did. How could it not? How could it not, right? How could it not? And like, I guess people wouldn't really think about that, but now I'm explaining it, okay? So like, I'm here to say like, holy crap, I just busted through 3 decades worth of blockage. So you can too. Okay? That's why we're here. All right? That is legit why I'm here. To bust through all my fears, to break down these walls that I put up. Because one of the walls that I put up was a really thick filter. Because I didn't want to hear my own voice and I didn't want other people to hear my voice. I put such a thick filter up on what actually came out of my mouth that I literally used to tell myself, my internal talk used to be, only speak if it's important. Only speak if other people should hear it. Only share what you think is worth hearing. Like if you were somebody else, what would you want to hear? Basically what people want to hear. Don't speak for yourself. Speak only if it helps others. And talk about a block. I blocked myself my entire life because of this, because of my, own self-esteem issues with this physical blockage. So I'm trying to say this example is me going from physical block to emotional block and how that really translated into every part of my life and how I overcame all that. So stay tuned for more details on this. I didn't want to speak. I didn't want to hear my own voice. I had a fear of being heard, which totally combats the innocent kid self that just wants to be heard. Like my inner self just wanted to be heard, but this block and this conditioning of me being different, of me being like, just this perception of how different I felt in a negative way, in a lack way, in an incomplete way. I felt very incomplete my whole life. And I felt like I had a very strong fear of being heard and thus being rejected once I was heard. I had a fear of being shamed for being different. And I was made fun of for being different in this way. Like I was told on the bus, going to public school, I was made fun of by my neighborhood friends. Some of them would say, go sniff a flower. Go sniff a flower. Go sniff a flower. Like, because I couldn't. I'm like, dude, so I was shamed for being different in that sense. And like, it wasn't just like a one-time thing that I heard that. That was like the thing that someone would say to me like throughout the years. And stuff like that like sticks. And it sticks in the sense that you don't forget it. I'm even getting a little bit emotional right now just thinking about it because I haven't thought about that in a while. But that's part of the baggage that I got to let go of. Clearly, it's still coming up. But that's just the truth of like what had happened. And I know like the past doesn't actually exist anymore. The past does not exist anymore. But the memories of the past do exist in our consciousness. And so in that sense, like, if we are holding on to the past, or these past fears, from that day and age, realize that it's not real. Realize that the past is no longer. All we have is now, and all we have is now for eternity. There's not even a future. All we have is now for eternity. So this fear of being heard and thus being rejected and shamed for being different led to me overthinking everything, just about everything that came through my mind, and all my feelings, and discerning what was worth hearing from me. This blocked my self-expression. So that's why this podcast is very, very important to me, because I am directly neutralizing this past fear of being heard and expressing myself. And I am unblocking. I have been releasing this blockage, this baggage that I've been carrying around literally my entire life. And this kind of fear of rejection, oh man, this fear of rejection goes way past my childhood into my adulthood. And up until kind of recently, if I'm being honest. So this initial blocked self-expression through a physical blockage since childhood / birth. Like my whole life I've been dealing with blockage. Block, 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 block. This led to this, led to this, led to this. It brought me all the way down here. And all of a sudden I'm like down here being like, how do I even be in this world? Literally, I have had years of me being like, okay, like, how the fuck do I even be? How do I exist in this world without like causing problems, without like making myself feel like shit? Like, I gotta figure this out. Like, I'm working with so many different parts of this, world, parts of my life, like different people, different things, different missions, different objectives, different like, there's a lot going on in life all the time, right? So like, of course, this core belief of oneself that I'm not worth hearing is gonna transpire into all parts of my life. It just makes sense. And it's crazy that I didn't see that until recently, like until last year. I didn't see how this all played out in my life until last year. How it all came together. Because this physical block, which led to a emotional block, which led to a block of self-expression, this fear of rejection really plays strongly through this whole thing. Because this fear of being rejected for speaking my truth, for being heard, for being myself, for being unfiltered, led to a sense of like fear of abandonment. And that in itself is what has played out in all of my romantic relationships. Well, most of them. So I've been working through a lot of blocks and letting go of a lot of baggage and releasing old beliefs of myself and embracing this turning point that I'm at in life. And really the message with all this is, that's one example. I have another example. It's a bit more intimate, and I usually don't talk about this unless it's absolutely necessary. But there's another blockage, another physical blockage that is related to my self-worth and attachment style and the way that I seek acceptance from others. And it's also a block that involves limitation, rejection, shame, overthinking, and this all or nothing polarity when it comes to relationships. So I'm working through a lot of physical blocks that end up being emotional blocks as well as blocks of self-expression. So that's the point of me sharing all this. It's just to, call attention to, as we go through these limiting beliefs and as we kind of review our upbringing and go through what needs healing, what fears need to be exposed, this is how we heal. So just know that no matter what you're feeling, if you're feeling stuck in some way, like if you feel like you are holding yourself back in any way, or you feel just held back in general, let's start there. If you feel held back at all, dive into that thought, dive into that feeling, and honestly, just see what's there, see what comes up, see what memories come up, see what's attached to it. Like, for instance, if you are calling in, more money or a better relationship or a new living situation or anything, a new, upgrading. If you're calling in some upgrades on your life, like I am, know that blockages can stop us from receiving. Blocks do just exactly what they sound like they do. They block us from receiving what is meant for us. And what's meant for us is love and the ultimate happiness, you know, and full acceptance of oneself. And, you know, we are all on our journey to work towards that. So this is my way of sharing a little bit about that. At the end of the day, it is about raising our vibration to achieve our dreams. And blockages and baggage only weigh you down. All you got to do is let go of it. You just drop it, you know? Drop it by acknowledging it, standing in your truth, that you accept this about yourself and love yourself through compassion for these fears that you have. But realize with this full moon energy of Libra this weekend, realize that we are making a commitment to ourselves in the way that we heal. And how we face these fears, these fears should show themselves. And, you know, just listen to the flow of your life and trust the process of letting go. And next episode, I'm going to go into the actual shift of letting go and moving into abundance and gratitude from these states of blockage and holding on to fears and pain of the past. So if you're interested in healing yourself through this very beautiful, intense journey that is our life, tune in next week where we will go into the deeper layers of all this. We're going to be talking about quantum leaps and conscious up leveling, moving into a space of gratitude and abundance rather than fear, constriction, and, you know, limitation and just like blocks. So we're here to clear the air. The main goal for this stage of the journey is to empower yourself and to learn to practice manifestation with no expectations. So that's what's coming next. I love you all. I hope that you embrace this energy of the moon this weekend to the fullest extent and really take a look at how you treat yourself. And I hope that you feel the healing and you make the decision for yourself. You make the commitment to yourself to keep your fire going, to stay on your path. That means your path. This is our chance to heal ourselves and water our flowers, because there are enough factors in the world that could stunt our growth. We don't need to do it to ourselves. So please practice compassion with yourself and embrace these deep-seated blockages and really try to uncover them and like pour water into them so that the stuff comes up to the surface, you know? It's like flushing it out. Let's like flush out our system with water and start growing fully into the beautiful expressions of nature that we were always meant to be. I love you. With that, I will end it. And yeah, tune into our next episode where we will be shifting our understanding of value, talking about quantum leaps, conscious up leveling, and moving into abundance and gratitude. So thank you for tuning in. Take a deep breath. Hug yourself, because you are important and you are out here learning how to be your best self. So with that, thanks for watching and come back next time, because you know why we're here.